We all navigate daily battles, don't we? I mean, whether it's facing challenges in our careers, complexities in our relationships, or simply wrestling with our own thoughts.
Yeah, definitely.
What if an ancient text, thousands of years old, held some, profound wisdom for these very modern internal and external conflicts?
Hmm.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into the Bhagavad Gita, really focusing in on its foundational first chapter.
And this deep dive is into what people often call a divine conversation. It's mainly between Lord Krishna and Arjuna.
Right.
But what makes it so potent, I think, is where it happens. Not in some quiet, serene place, but right on the edge of this massive war, the battlefield of Kurukshetra.
Yeah, the tension must have been incredible.
Exactly. It's a moment where these huge human dilemmas about duty, morality, purpose, they just get laid bare.
Okay, so let's unpack this. As the chapter opens, we meet the blind king's Dhritarashtra, and right away, the symbolism starts to unfold, doesn't it?
It really does. Dhritarashtra isn't just, physically blind. He kind of symbolizes our own inner ignorance, maybe that lack of discernment between what's right and wrong.
Okay.
And his advisor, Sanjay, he has this divine vision. So he represents inner wisdom, self-restraint, that ability to see things clearly as they are, even from a distance.
Interesting contrast.
Yeah, and the whole dialogue starts with Dhritarashtra asking Sanjay about his sons, the Kauravas and the Pandavas, on this holy field, Kurukshetra.
And they represent vices and virtues.
Sort of, yeah. The Kauravas often stand for our inner vices, things like attachment, ego, greed. And the Pandavas embody virtues, righteousness, devotion.
And Kurukshetra itself.
Well, it's often seen as a metaphor for our own body, our own life, really.
Yeah.
This place where the good and bad tendencies are constantly fighting it out. It's like our personal battleground.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So as the story goes deeper, we meet Duryodhana, the eldest Kaurava. His first chat with his guru, Dronacharya, seems more revealing than it looked at first glance.
Oh, definitely. On the surface, he's just pointing out the Pandava army, how strong it looks, how it's arrayed by Drishtadyumna.
Right, and Drishtadyumna is Dronacharya's own student, which is quite the situation.
Exactly. Dronacharya's own highly intelligent disciple now lined up against them. And Duryodhana's comment isn't just a military observation, there's a sharpness there.
A hidden taunt.
Yeah, like a hidden taunt, a subtle dig. He's reminding Dronacharya, hey, your guy is ready to fight us. Almost implying, maybe a failure on Dronacharya's part or divided loyalty. So this moment, it's not really about strategy. It's more like a window into Duryodhana's own deep insecurity and fear.
Instead of just saying, I'm worried.
Right. Instead of owning his anxiety, he shifts the focus, deflects blame, tries to kind of mask his own weakness.
That feels very human, that tendency to project our own stuff onto others instead of facing it.
We've all seen it, or done it, maybe.
Yeah, probably. Being that Duryodhana in the room, shifting blame rather than just sitting with the discomfort. But what does this say about expectations? Especially expectations of a guru and how that feeds insecurity.
That's a really critical point. Duryodhana clearly expected total, unwavering loyalty. He didn't seem to get that a guru's role is more about imparting knowledge, not demanding blind allegiance.
Ah, okay.
So when someone we've maybe mentored or felt close to takes an opposite stance like Drishtadyumna did, it forces us, or should force us, to look at the relationship itself.
Like, what was it actually built on?
Exactly. Was it mutual respect and truth? Or was it just built on our own expectations, what we thought we were owed? Duryodhana's reaction really highlights how quickly an expectation can turn into feeling betrayed if the foundation isn't solid.
So from that kind of subtle psychological stuff, the scene shifts dramatically. Big sounds, right? The conch shells.
Yeah, it explodes into sound. The war is about to begin. First, Bhishma, the Kaurava elder, he blows his conch like a lion's roar. Duryodhana loves it, feels filled with joy. Then other Kaurava instruments join in this terrifying noise.
A real cacophony.
And then the Pandavas answer back.
Yeah.
Just as loud, just as powerful. Lord Krishna blows his Panchajanya, Arjuna his Devadatta, Bhima his huge Pandrakank. Then all the other Pandava warriors join in.
And the text says these sounds also tore the hearts of the other side.
Yes, both sides describe the sound as heartrending. It shows the sheer intensity, the psychological weight of what's about to happen.
So thinking about us now, beyond ancient battles, what can we take from these sounds? When we feel overwhelmed, do we look for our own sort of uplifting sound?
I think so. Just like those sounds either boosted courage or spread dread, the Gita kind of suggests we can choose our own sound when we're facing inner turmoil.
How do you mean?
Well, instead of just giving in to the feeling of dread, We can consciously try to generate something uplifting inside, a focused thought maybe, or a moment of just resolve, shifting the vibe on our internal battlefield from despair towards determination.
Choosing our internal soundtrack almost.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
It's about shifting that internal vibration. And it's interesting, too, that Bhishma, the Kaurava elder who blows the first conch, he symbolizes illusion or delusion,
Right.
which implies that as long as that illusion is strong, the negative tendencies, the Kauravas, they stay powerful. They're hard to beat. It's only when that illusion starts to break down that real progress can happen.
Okay, so then the focus shifts really dramatically to Arjuna. He asks Krishna, his charioteer, to drive him out between the two armies. He wants a good look at who he's about to fight.
Yes, but when he gets there and he actually sees them, his own relatives, teachers, grandfathers, uncles, brothers, sons, friends, in-laws, on both sides, he's just overwhelmed.
Like great.
Profound grief, yeah. And extreme compassion, the text says. His reaction is physical, too. Trembling limbs, dry mouth, his famous Gandiva bow literally slips from his hand.
No.
Burning skin, a totally confused mind, he can barely stand up. He starts making these really strong arguments against fighting.
Like what?
He says he sees absolutely no good, only sin in killing his own family. He declares he doesn't want victory or a kingdom or any happiness if it comes at that terrible cost.
He's really questioning the whole purpose.
Deeply. He's worried about destroying what he calls Kula Dharma, the eternal family traditions, the sort of moral fabric that holds society together.
Okay.
He fears that breaking those codes will lead to unrighteousness spreading, the corruption of women, the rise of what's called Varnashankara, unwanted progeny, basically social chaos, and even his ancestors falling into hell because the proper rites won't be performed.
So it's not just personal grief, it's societal collapse he fears.
Exactly. He sees fighting his relatives as this great sin, driven purely by greed for kingdom and happiness. He even says it would be better if the Kauravas just killed him, unarmed and unresisting.
He's completely undone.
Utterly. The chapter ends with Arjuna, his mind just agitated with grief, dropping his bow and arrows and slumping down onto his chariot seat. Finished.
Wow. When you lay it out like that, Arjuna's crisis feels incredibly universal, doesn't it? It's such a powerful reflection of the human experience.
It really is.
How many times have we, faced a decision that's so emotionally charged that it just clouds everything, makes it impossible to see clearly? Like Arjuna, we struggle to figure out right from wrong, terrified of the fallout, the pain of hurting people we care about. It's thousands of years old, but it just lays bare how our emotions can completely hijack our logic, that emotional filter.
It's a perfect snapshot, really, of what happens when our deepest values seem to collide head-on with a really difficult reality, a timeless dilemma.
So, digging into this ancient struggle, what timeless wisdom can we pull out for the kinds of dilemmas we face today? It seems clear the Gita isn't just some old story. It feels more like a key, maybe even a form of mental health therapy.
I think you could absolutely see it that way. It offers frameworks. For instance, going back to Duryodhana, one big takeaway is about overcoming insecurity. Instead of blame or those veiled attacks when we feel vulnerable.
Like he did with Dronacharya.
Exactly. The insight is to maybe try and directly address our inner questions. Really look at the foundation of our relationships. Ask ourselves, is this built on mutual respect and truth, or is it just my own expectations, my own sense of what I think I'm owed?
That takes courage, though.
It does. But that directness, it doesn't just help manage conflict, it actually builds stronger, more authentic connections, ones that don't shatter the first time they're challenged.
Okay, that makes sense. And then turning to Arjuna's situation, his paralysis, there's this huge insight about mindful action and duty.
That attachment.
You're right.
Yes, that's central. Krishna's core teaching to Arjuna, which comes later, but the stage is set here, is you have the right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action.
That sounds simple, but it's profound.
I guess. And it connects to another idea. Skill in action is yoga. This is so vital for managing the stress and the high expectations we all face today.
So it's not just about the outcome, but how you do the action.
Precisely. Bringing focus, peace, intention, even to mundane tasks. Turning them into a practice. It's not just about sitting down to meditate. It's about finding those little pauses, that chariot of stillness in the middle of a busy day.
A conscious breath before reacting.
Yeah, or a moment to just check in internally amidst all the emails and notifications. Anchoring that restless mind so the chaos stays external, not internal. When you focus on the action itself, doing it with integrity, rather than obsessing over, will I succeed? Will I fail? You free yourself from so much anxiety.
Allows you to be present and effective, probably.
Exactly. And there's another powerful lesson in understanding the chain of anger. The Gita spells it out so clearly.
How does that go again?
It says, attachment leads to desire, desire to anger, anger to delusion, delusion to loss of memory to destruction of intellect, and destruction of intellect leads to ruin.
Wow, that's quite a sequence. A domino effect.
It's an incredible psychological breakdown, isn't it? It shows anger isn't just some random flare-up. It's usually the result of a predictable process that starts way earlier, with attachment.
So knowing the chain helps you break it.
That's the idea. Understanding the progression helps us choose a conscious response instead of just having that automatic, often destructive reaction. When you feel anger rising, the text suggests, looking back, can you interrupt the initial attachment or the desire that sparked it?
Catch it earlier.
Right. Cultivate awareness at each step, recognize the early signs, and consciously step back before your mind gets totally clouded by delusion.
So if we kind of tie all these threads together, the Gita seems to be challenging us to be our own Arjuna and Krishna in everyday life.
That's a great way to put it. Yes, absolutely. It means actively engaging, fighting against those societal vices, the Kauravas we see around us. But maybe even more crucially, battling our own inner impurities.
Through self-awareness.
Through self-awareness and through righteous action. It's really about fulfilling our moral duty, contributing positively, not just chasing personal gain or fleeting happiness, engaging with the world purposefully while also mastering our own inner world.
So really, this first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, it sets the stage for an epic war, but it's also just this incredibly deep dive into human nature, into emotional turmoil, and that timeless search for clarity when everything feels confusing.
It definitely teaches us that our biggest, most significant battles are often the ones fought inside ourselves.
A really powerful invitation to look within, offering guidance that feels just as relevant now as it must have then.
It really does.
So, maybe a final thought for you listening. Consider how many times, perhaps without even realizing it, you might have reacted from a place of insecurity, a bit like Duryodhana, or felt completely paralyzed by overwhelming emotion when facing a tough decision involving people you care about, just like Arjuna. What if genuinely understanding these ancient struggles, really sitting with them, is the crucial first step to mastering your own internal battlefield? Not by avoiding the challenges, but by getting clearer on your own duty, your own purpose in life. It's certainly a journey worth thinking about.